What if I told you some of the loudest complaints about modern space movies were already solved 40 years ago? Long before digital shine and committee storytelling, a wave of scrappy 80s sci-fi films copied Star Wars shamelessly and somehow understood it better. Big feelings, clear heroes, worlds that felt touched by human hands. Halfway through this list, something strange happens. These so-called knockoffs stop looking like copies and start looking like the real thing. Number 12. Star Crash, 1978. Star Crash is chaos. Beautiful, loud, fearless chaos. And that is exactly why it earns this spot. This movie does not ease you in. It throws space royalty, glowing swords, giant machines, and dramatic speeches at you within minutes. There is no apology, no explanation, just pure belief. Everyone involved acts like this story matters deeply, even when the budget clearly disagrees.
You've won. We surrender.
And that confidence does real work. You can feel the influence immediately. A young hero, a powerful ruler, a looming dark presence across the stars. But instead of playing it safe, Star Crash leans into fantasy hard. Colors pop. Sets look handmade. Costumes feel like they came from someone's wild imagination instead of a brand guide. What makes it better than the sequels is not polish. It is clarity. You always know who matters. You always know what the goal is.
The same also applies to the...
There is no constant resetting of characters, no awkward backtracking. When someone changes, it sticks. When something happens, it matters for the rest of the story. Is it silly at times? Of course, but it is honest about its silliness. The sequels pretend to be serious while constantly winking at the audience. Star Crash never winks. It stares straight ahead and charges forward. There is also something refreshing about how small it feels. Not small in ideas, but small in focus. The story does not try to save everything everywhere. It cares about specific people in specific trouble. That alone gives it weight. Watching it now feels like opening a time capsule from an era when filmmakers were allowed to be strange without being ironic, when copying Star Wars meant copying its heart, not just its surface. Star Crash is messy, but it is alive, and sometimes alive beats perfect. Number 11. Space Raiders, 1983. This one surprises people, quietly, then completely. Space Raiders look simple on the surface. A young kid stumbles into a conflict bigger than himself. A rough group of space outsiders become accidental guides. Sound familiar? Yes, and that is exactly why it works. Unlike the sequels, this movie understands one basic rule. Growth has to hurt a little. The main character is not instantly skilled. He is scared, confused, in the way. He makes mistakes that actually slow things down. The adults around him do not immediately trust him or praise him. They tolerate him, barely. And that tension feels real. The universe here feels used. Ships are dented, clothes look worn, places feel lived in. Nothing shines for the sake of looking cool. It all looks like it has a history, even if the movie never stops to explain it. That restraint is the secret. Space Raiders does not pause for speeches about legacy or destiny. It lets moments speak. A look between characters. A decision made under pressure. A small act of bravery that is not celebrated with music or applause. And here is the big difference. The story moves in one direction. There is no constant changing of tone. No sudden jokes undercutting serious moments. No rewrites happening in front of your eyes. The movie knows what it is from the start and commits to it fully. Is it big? No. Is it flashy? Not really, but it is steady, and steady storytelling builds trust. By the time the final stretch hits, you care. Not because the galaxy is at stake, but because these people are. That is something the sequels forgot while chasing bigger and louder. Space Raiders proves you do not need endless resources to tell a solid space story. You need discipline, you need focus, and you need to respect your audience enough to let emotions grow naturally. That alone puts it ahead. Number 10. The Black Hole, 1979. It shaped the early 80s more than people admit. This one shocks people when they revisit it, not because it is loud,
Some guy in red with horns and a pitchfork. It's a monster.
because it is quiet, heavy, patient. The Black Hole is Disney making a space movie before fear took over the studio, and you can feel that freedom in every frame. This film moves slow on purpose. It lets silence hang. It allows unease to build. It trusts the audience to sit with strange ideas instead of rushing past them. The story follows a crew that finds a massive ship drifting near a cosmic mystery. Inside is a brilliant figure who may not be as calm or kind as he appears. That is all you need to know. The movie is not about twists. It is about mood. Here is why it beats the sequels. It commits to atmosphere. The sets feel real, long hallways, strange rooms, machines that hum instead of sparkle. You feel distance, you feel isolation, you feel the weight of being far from home. The sequels talk about loneliness. This movie shows it without speeches. The characters are not loud heroes, they are professionals, curious, careful, sometimes wrong. Their choices feel grounded. When danger appears, it is not treated like a joke or a quick obstacle. It lingers, and then there is the ending. No reset button, no neat bow, no sudden smile to reassure you. The Black Hole ends in a way that stays with you. It asks questions instead of answering them. It trusts the viewer to think. That alone puts it miles ahead. This movie understood that space stories can be thoughtful, and that they can be strange without being smug, that not everything needs to be explained or softened. Watching it now feels like discovering a lost branch of sci-fi that modern studios were too nervous to follow. And once you see it, you cannot unsee how safe later films became. The Black Hole did not chase approval, it chased feeling. And it landed. Number 9. Ice Pirates, 1984. This movie should not work, and yet it absolutely does. Ice Pirates look silly at first glance. Space raiders, wild outfits, jokes that come fast. But underneath the humor is something rare, a fully imagined universe that follows its own rules and sticks to them.
She just slept through the finest moment of her life.
The premise is strange in a good way. Resources are scarce, power is uneven. Survival means adapting. Every joke sits on top of real-world building. That is the difference between playful and careless. What makes Ice Pirates better than the sequels is honesty. It knows it is fun. It does not pretend otherwise. The sequels kept jumping between seriousness and self-mockery. Ice Pirates chooses a lane and stays in it. That confidence carries the whole movie. The characters are clear from the start. Rogues with lines they will not cross. Authority figures you are meant to question. A world that rewards cleverness over status. No one suddenly becomes someone else because the plot needs it. Even the visuals help. Ships look strange, places feel dusty and used. Nothing feels manufactured to sell toys. It feels imagined first, packaged second. And here is the key point. Ice Pirates respects momentum. Scenes move forward. Jokes do not stop the story. Humor grows out of the situation instead of interrupting it. That pacing keeps the audience locked in without exhaustion. There is also an edge of commentary here, about power, about control, about systems that pretend to be fair. The movie never lectures, it just shows the cracks and lets you notice them. That is smart writing. Ice Pirates proves that fun does not mean shallow, that light tone does not mean empty story. It delivers entertainment without losing structure, something the sequels struggled with constantly. This movie knew exactly what it was and never flinched, and that confidence makes all the difference. Number 8. Enemy Mine, 1985. This one is quieter than the rest, and that is exactly why it hits harder. Enemy Mine starts with conflict. Two pilots from opposite sides crash on a hostile planet. A different species, different beliefs, no trust, no backup, just survival. What follows is not a lecture, it is a slow, stubborn unfolding of understanding. Here is why this film outclasses the sequels. It lets change take time. At first, everything is friction, language barriers, fear, resentment. The movie does not rush past that discomfort. It sits in it. Small moments matter. Learning a word, sharing food, protecting each other without saying why. There are no speeches about unity, no dramatic music telling you what to feel. The bond forms because the situation demands it, because survival makes honesty unavoidable. The planet itself feels real, harsh, empty, beautiful in a lonely way. You feel the passage of time. Seasons change, bodies tire, emotions wear down. The setting is not just a backdrop. It shapes the story. What really separates Enemy Mine from modern space films is restraint. The story never grows bigger than it needs to be. It does not suddenly shift focus to save everything everywhere. It stays with two people and the quiet consequences of their choices. That focus creates emotional weight the sequels kept trying to fake with scale. And when the story finally reaches its turning point, it earns it. Not through surprise, through patience. There is also courage here. The film trusts its audience to care without constant noise. Long stretches pass with little action. Just work, just living, just learning. That takes confidence. Enemy Mine proves something important. Space stories do not need endless twists. They need truth. They need characters who change because they must, not because the script demands it. By the end, you're not thinking about factions or sides. You're thinking about loss, responsibility, what we owe each other when no one is watching. That quiet power is rare, and it lasts. Number 7, Krull, 1983. Krull is not subtle, and it does not want to be. This movie throws fantasy and space ideas into the same fire and never looks back. Castles, creatures, star travelers, a glowing throne blade that feels legendary the second you see it. Krull believes in myth. Fully, loudly. That belief is the secret. The sequels talked endlessly about legacy. Krull shows you what legacy looks like. A young hero pulled from a quiet life. A journey that costs him friends. Choices that carry weight. Not because a prophecy says so, but because the world pushes him there. Every location feels designed with care. Forests feel ancient. Fortresses feel oppressive. Open land feels dangerous. Nothing looks temporary. Everything feels like it existed before the camera arrived. The characters are not perfect. They argue, they doubt, they fail. And when they succeed, it feels earned. There is no sudden mastery, no shortcuts. Growth happens through effort. Krull also understands pacing. It knows when to slow down and let atmosphere breathe. It knows when to move fast and let momentum carry the story. The balance keeps you engaged without exhaustion. And then there is the tone. Completely sincere. No smirking, no apology, no self-awareness getting in the way. The movie treats its ideas with respect, and that respect invites the audience to do the same. Compared to the sequels, the difference is stark. Krull commits to a single emotional through line and never abandons it. Characters are allowed to be brave without being sarcastic, serious without being stiff. The glowing blade becomes iconic because it means something. It is not just a visual, it represents effort, risk, and responsibility. That symbolism sticks. Krull may not have had endless resources, but it had clarity. It knew what kind of story it was telling and trusted that story completely. And that confidence still shows. Number 6, Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, 1983. This movie smells like oil and dust. And that is a compliment. Space Hunter drops you into a universe that does not care if you are ready. No polished halls, no shining fleets. Everything feels scraped together, repaired twice, and pushed one day past its limit. The world looks tired, and that tiredness makes it believable. All the story follows a rough space guide hired to rescue people stranded in a dangerous zone. Simple goal, clear stakes, no confusion. And that simplicity is powerful. What Space Hunter gets right, and the sequels never quite did, is texture. You feel the danger in the environment, not because someone explains it, but because everything looks hostile. Vehicles barely function. Cities feel stacked on top of past mistakes. Even quiet moments feel uneasy. The main character is not a chosen one. He is skilled because he has survived. He is confident because he has failed before. That backstory is never dumped in your lap. It is shown in how he moves, how he plans, how he hesitates before trusting anyone. The supporting characters add friction instead of comfort. They challenge decisions, they slow things down, they complicate plans. And that friction makes the journey feel earned. Space Hunter also understands stakes without exaggeration. The danger is personal, immediate. You're not asked to care about abstract ideas. You're asked to care about whether these people make it out alive. That focus keeps the tension real. The sequels leaned heavily on nostalgia and scale. Space Hunter leans on survival and consequence. When something goes wrong, it changes the rest of the story. There is no reset, no emotional undo button. Even the action feels grounded. It is messy, awkward, sometimes uncomfortable. People get tired. Plans fail. That realism creates suspense without needing spectacle overload. Space Hunter may not be elegant, but it is honest. It shows a universe that feels lived in and dangerous, where bravery is practical, not symbolic. That kind of grit is rare now, and it holds up. Number 5. Battle Beyond the Stars, 1980. This one knows exactly what it is doing, and it does not pretend otherwise. Battle Beyond the Stars takes a classic story structure and drops it straight into space. A peaceful group threatened by a powerful force, a lone figure sent to gather help, a team of wildly different allies brought together by necessity. Sound familiar? Yes, and that familiarity is the point. Instead of hiding its inspiration, the film sharpens it. Every character introduced has a purpose. Every ally brings a strength or flaw that matters later. Nothing is wasted. What makes this movie stronger than the sequels is discipline. The story moves forward cleanly. No detours, no tonal whiplash, no sudden shifts in motivation. Each step builds on the last. When the final conflict arrives, you understand exactly why everyone is there and what they stand to lose. The characters are bold without being shallow. They have clear personalities, clear limits, and clear reasons for showing up. Some are confident, some are uncertain. Some are clearly hiding fear behind bravado. That mix creates tension and chemistry. The universe feels simple but solid. You are not buried in lore. You are given just enough to understand how things work. That restraint keeps the focus on people, not explanations. Battle Beyond the Stars also respects sacrifice. When someone risks everything, it is treated seriously. There is no joke undercutting the moment, no sudden distraction. The film lets weight sit where it belongs. The sequels talked endlessly about legacy while constantly undoing consequences. This movie does the opposite. It lets actions echo. Choices matter. Loss is permanent. And because of that, the ending feels earned. Not flashy, not smug, earned. Battle. Beyond the Stars proves that strong structure never goes out of style. You do not need endless layers or constant surprises. You need a story that knows where it is going and why. This film knew, and it went there without hesitation. Number 4. Ice Pirates, 1984. Yes, it shows up again on this list for a reason, because Ice Pirates does something most big space movies are scared to do. It commits to imagination without apology. This film builds a universe where resources are rare, rules are strange, and survival depends on wit more than power. And instead of explaining everything, it lets you catch up. You are dropped into the middle and trusted to keep pace. That trust matters. And the humor gets attention, but underneath it is a shockingly tight structure. Every joke is sitting on top of world logic. Nothing feels random. Nothing feels like it exists, only to get a reaction. The laughs come from the situation, not from winking at the audience. That alone separates it from the sequels. Ice Pirates understands tone. It never pretends to be serious and then suddenly laughs at itself. It knows what it is from frame one and stays there. That consistency makes the story feel stable even when things get wild. The characters are clear. Rogues, yes, but with lines they will not cross. Authority figures who smile while tightening control. Outsiders who survive by bending rules instead of breaking them outright. No one flips personality halfway through because the plot needs a shortcut. The universe itself feels strangely complete. Ships look patched together. Places feel overused. You get the sense that people have been living like this for a long time. That lived-in feeling is something the sequels tried to imitate and never quite nailed. What really pushes Ice Pirates ahead is courage. It takes risks with ideas, with visuals, with pacing. It does not soften itself to avoid confusion. It trusts that confusion will turn into curiosity. That confidence is contagious. By the end, you realize something uncomfortable. This silly-looking space adventure has clearer rules, steadier characters, and a stronger sense of identity than a modern trilogy built with unlimited resources. Ice Pirates proves that imagination works best when it is not afraid of itself. Number 3. The Last Starfighter, 1984. But this is where things get serious. The Last Starfighter understands the fantasy of Star Wars better than most movies that tried to copy it. Not the look, the feeling. A regular kid, a quiet life, a strange invitation, a test that turns out to mean everything. This movie taps directly into the idea that heroism can come from nowhere, and it does it without irony. What makes it stronger than the sequels is heart. The main character does not want greatness. He wants escape. He wants a future. That motivation feels human. When the adventure arrives, it complicates his dreams instead of instantly fulfilling them. The film lets him hesitate, let him doubt, let him fail. And when he finally steps forward, it feels earned. The world building is simple but effective. You understand the conflict quickly. You know what matters and why. There is no overload of information, no constant reminders of past glory. Everything you need is in front of you. Even the effects, often criticized, work in context. They serve the story instead of trying to distract from it. The focus stays on choices and consequences. The emotional core is what really lands. Family, responsibility, fear of leaving things behind. The movie never mocks those feelings. It treats them as real, not outdated. The sequels talked endlessly about destiny while undercutting it at every turn. The Last Starfighter lets destiny be scary, heavy, something you might want to run from. And that honesty sticks. By the final act, you are not watching for spectacle. You are watching because you care if this kid figures out who he is supposed to be. That is the magic the sequels kept chasing and never caught. Number 2. Flash Gordon, 1980. Flash Gordon does not ease into anything. It kicks the door open and dares you to keep up. From the first moments, this movie makes a choice the sequels never fully committed to. It goes big, loud colors, big emotions, clear heroes, clear villains. No hesitation, no apology. And that confidence carries everything. Flash Gordon understands that space opera is not about realism. It is about momentum, about drama, about sincerity turned all the way up. Every character here knows exactly who they are. The hero is brave because bravery is required. The villain is theatrical because power loves attention. There is no irony softening the edges. That clarity matters. The world feels like a moving painting. Strange cities, floating palaces, costumes that look designed to be remembered. It feels handmade and proud of it. You can tell people touched these sets. You can feel the texture in every scene. The story itself is simple, and that is its strength. A threat is introduced. The stakes are personal and immediate. The hero is pushed forward by circumstance, not prophecy. Every decision leads to the next without confusion. What really separates Flash Gordon from the sequels is tone discipline. The movie never stops to explain why it is being bold. It never undercuts itself with jokes that say, yes, we know this is silly. It believes fully in its own world, and that belief invites the audience to believe too. The sequels often felt embarrassed by their own legacy. Flash Gordon celebrates its identity. Even decades later, moments from this film stick in your head. Not because they are subtle, because they are fearless. They aim for iconic and do not flinch. Flash Gordon proves something simple. If you are going to be mythic, commit. Do not hedge, do not soften. Swing hard. This movie swung, and it connected. Number 1. Battle Beyond the Stars, 1980. Yes, it takes the top spot, and it earns it. Battle Beyond the Stars does something the sequels never managed to do across 3 films. It tells one complete story with a clear spine from beginning to end. A peaceful community faces destruction. They send one person out to find help. That person gathers allies. Each ally has a reason to fight. Each reason matters. Nothing is vague. Nothing is undone later. This movie understands structure. Every character introduced serves a purpose. You remember them, you understand them quickly, and when they make choices, those choices have consequences that stay in place. The universe is simple but solid. You are not buried in history lessons. You are shown enough to understand how power works and who holds it. That restraint keeps the focus exactly where it belongs. On people. The hero is not special because of destiny. He becomes special because he takes responsibility when no one else will. That difference matters. It grounds the story in action instead of words. What makes Battle Beyond the Stars truly outperform the sequels is payoff. Threads set up early come back later. Relationships change in visible ways. Loss is treated seriously. Victory costs something. The ending feels final, not temporary or reversible. There is no sense of the story being rewritten mid-flight. No tonal whiplash, no panic adjustments. It moves forward with confidence, trusting its own foundation. Watching it now is eye-opening. This was made with a fraction of the resources and somehow delivers clearer themes, steadier characters, and stronger emotional logic than a modern trilogy built by committee. Battle Beyond the Stars proves that good storytelling is not about scale. It is about commitment. And once you see that, the comparison becomes impossible to ignore. So maybe the problem was never space stories. Maybe it was fear. Fear of commitment. Fear of sincerity. These 80s films copied Star Wars because they believed in it, not because they wanted to control it. If one of these surprised you, say it out loud in the comments. If one still holds up, share it. And here's the real question. What did we lose when movies stopped trusting their own imagination?